Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Not the result we wanted. Welcome to Talking to the Devils, brought to you by talkingtodevils.co.uk, your number one favourite podcast, United podcast. I'm your host tonight, obviously, Mark. I know you probably might have heard a little bit about me, but not seen me before. I'm here, and I'm going to be doing a bit more match reactions as time goes on. But I'm joined by some great people tonight. I really appreciate you coming on. It's obviously 10 o'clock, 10. It's late. Everyone's a little bit miserable, I can imagine, but we're going to dissect the game as it went on and do some sort of player ratings at the end. Keen, thanks for joining me, buddy. Just wanted to quickly say, look, a few people watching, please come in and get your comments in, like and subscribe. It's important, and we'd love to read and go through some of your comments. Keen, thanks for joining me, buddy. How are you feeling after that?
Man, absolutely disheartened, to say the least. I think, look, after that first half, we played well. Though we showed a bit of fight, we showed a bit of determination. I think Fred was absolutely outstanding in that first half. Like he's been a revelation in the last couple of games. But, man, it was just our biggest game of the season today. Look, we know the top four is probably gone. And look, for me to kind of... Well, I was kind of grasping at straws, hoping the Champions League could be some way of kind of the progression into the Champions League next season. But look, unfortunately, that didn't come to pass. And look, Atletico showed their experience tonight. They really did, especially in that second half. And I think when you look at some of the players in our squad, it showed some of their inexperience on the biggest of stages.
Yeah, very good points, well made. Stu, good to have you on, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Do you share
pleasure.
the same sentiments?
Yeah, I do. Keane's pretty much spot on, really, with everything that he said. I mean, one thing I will say is that I'd recognise 20, 25 minutes in that we're going to be in for an exceptionally difficult night. And as soon as Atleti put the ball in the back of the net, that was going to be it. Our problems are always going to be fullbacks. They were always going to be our main issue because the travelling distance between what our fullback allows between himself and their wide player, whatever you want to call him, is chasm. It's huge. It's massive, and we can't allow it to do it. And when you look at Tellez closing down, I think it was Llorente who got the cross in eventually, and the fella on the back stick, Dallo, bless him, had three players to mark, but he got no clue that the lad who eventually popped the ball in the back of the net was behind him.
Ronaldo.
That's it, Ronaldo. Yeah, him. And you got Alanga. Well, age and inexperience. He was tired or he didn't see it. I mean, I don't know. He was looking straight at him. So I'm not quite sure. And then when the cross came in and Dallo realised what was happening, you know what? Sometimes you just got to throw your head in and just see where it takes you. Because two things will happen. A, he's either going to score, which he did, or B, you'll give a pen. So, and you've got a chance of saving a pen. You've got to do something to affect him. It was a really difficult chance. I thought it was a really good header, good cross and good header. But the problem that you've got is good old Simeone. He outmaneuvered us tonight completely. He outthought us and he outfought us. And you can't have that in a Champions League quarter-final match, second leg. You've got to be up and at him. And we were at the beginning, but I can't be the only one that didn't see the pattern of play emerging very, very early on, and you could just see. And once a team like Atleti get that goal, you're into a world of trouble. And they just popped off. Oh, crikey! Oh, that hurt. Oh, I'm going to go down, drop my knee, do this, do that. Gamesmanship. Crikey wrote the book, didn't he, Simeone? Let's be honest. And they're a very, very good side as well. They're very well organised, attack well. So if you're asking me if I'm surprised, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say no. I would have liked more from us as a unit. So,
yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think, we had something, we needed to hold on to something this season, didn't we? It's not been a very good number of months, really. And this was really our opportunity to try and save a little bit of pride. And when the draw was made, I think we felt relatively confident, and I even felt that way tonight. I felt that way in the previous game. Unfortunately, it's just not ended up how we wanted it to, obviously. But the first half, I thought we were excellent. It was really refreshing to see how well we pressed. Little bit questionable defensively. I think we'll go into that in a little bit more detail later. I think that, as you're right, as you said, Stu, the fullbacks really struggled defensively tonight. I thought they got well forward really well, but then tracking back and making those last minute decisions, we really got caught out a couple of times there. Reece, thank you for coming on, mate. Really good to see you, buddy. Do you share the same thoughts as the other two?
In all honesty, it's hard to not agree with these lads. It's not, and people think that Mourinho and Conte are the masters of pragmatism. No, it's Diego Simeone. Like, the best pragmatic manager in football is Diego Simeone. Nobody comes close to him, and it's painful. Obviously, I've got a perfect nickname for him when it comes to football. He's the Antichrist. Like, he is the Antichrist of management, and I love it when it's against different opposition. But when it's against your own club, it's painful, and
It's tough. It's like
it's a better pill to swallow. Yeah, I've not got it on at the moment. Obviously, I can't hear it because I'm talking to you guys. But David De Gea is actually doing the post-match interview for Man United this evening, and looking at his face, he looks like he's been punched in the face by a world championship boxer. Put it that way, it looks like he's been boxed by a world champion, elite level, like say like a Ali type boxer, nothing else. But he looks so defeated, and he looks worse than us four. And we're all like fans. He's went and lived it, but I'm
difficult to do.
I'm just absolutely gutted, man. And I think the worst thing as well, though, is it's the same things over and over. Like, Stu's mentioned fullbacks. He's not wrong. But just defence in general? Only two of our back, pretty much two of our back five actually bothered, and that was De Gea and Varane. They're the only two that bothered. Like, Maguire, once again, like, I know people don't like going in on players, and people comment about a goalkeeper's distribution, like how they've got to be good at sweeping and all that. I know Stu and me have had that conversation before, but Maguire's put De Gea at panic back-to-back games, and that's cost us, because we conceded 10 minutes after that. The panic swept. The midfield tonight could not get into the game. I think the only midfielder that actually got in the game tonight was Fred. He was overwhelmed. I thought he was excellent the first half. By far our best player. The front three, Alanga,
just to give you some experience. Actually, very quickly,
go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, by all means. I'm glad you stopped me.
Stats in the first half for Fred. He had an excellent first half.
He by far our best player.
He found his Brazilian passport. He was superb. That little touch that he made on the byline was unbelievable.
I would agree with that.
Unbelievable to see. But 100% tackle success, 100% take on success, 36 touches, 30 passes, 5 times he won the possession, 4 duels won, 3 passes in the final third, 2 take-ons, 1 outrageous nutmeg. But he was
That's a box-to-box midfielder. That's a box-to-box midfielder, like, showing what he's capable of. And Keane's mentioned the private chat about McTominay. Yeah, to be fair, first half I thought he was decent. The second half I didn't see him, and that's not slating or anything. I just couldn't see him. And to be fair, I love Bruno Fernandes. Probably not in the same way Keane does. Keane's massive for Fernandes. I just love him as a footballer. Keane would literally just bow down and call him his god. But in all honesty, in the second half, even Fernandes, I don't think anyone can agree, but like, Fernandes was missing as well. And in a game where you really need, I think he's tired, I think he's exhausted. But tonight it was hard to see him, and we really need something. Once again, we're having to rely on him, and it's not fair. It's not fair having to rely on him for every single situation. It's a team sport. Yes, there's individual factors involved, but you cannot just rely on the individual. And Ronaldo as well, like tonight, I thought he was going to have I thought he was going to score, I'll be honest, but Savic, Jimenez.
Savic particularly was quality, wasn't he?
They had him in his back pocket.
Excellent.
I think Oblak made 4 or 5 saves, and they were all world class. they're all world class saves, and that reflects that you cannot beat a world class goalkeeper when he's on form like that.
It was
Painful.
unfortunate, the Alanga chance. He didn't
Yeah.
know much about that one, and you know, if that
How he
it's
saved
one of
that.
things. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, and but if that had gone
How
in, that could have.
how did he save
I
that?
know. I know. Keane, you wanted to. Just going to go to the comments just very quickly, and then Keane, you wanted to come in on Bruno.
Yeah.
Fred here. Good to see you, buddy. Evening, chaps. You have to look at Maguire's involvement in the goal. He is a liability from a tactical standpoint and breaks the defensive line when he loses the ball in the first place.
Yeah.
You alluded to that earlier, Reese. Spot on. Lang has to do better tracking back, as Stu alluded to. Yeah, he absolutely does. I think he was certainly caught out for the goal, at least. He should have tracked back and had his man, which he didn't do particularly well. Look, that's going to come with age. I'm not saying that he shouldn't know that, but sometimes on big nights like this, when you are a young player, you can forget those things easily. And I'm not making excuses for him, but these are the kind of things that he needs to refine to become a more complete player. Absolutely. Stu, thanks for getting the comments, mate.
I know Keane might quickly say something about Bruno. I just want to say something quickly about Alanga. In terms of Alanga tonight, I think he's absolutely fantastic. But I think tonight, I don't know what you guys think, but I think tonight it should have been Sancho on the right, Pogba on the left, or it should have been Sancho staying on the left, and it should have been Jesse Lingard on the right. Personally, in terms of tracking back and pressing, I love Alanga, but I think Ralph did get that decision wrong. I think he got that one wrong.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Hi, George.
Keane, yeah, coming in about Bruno, my man.
Yeah, I think, Bruno in the second half, fair enough. I think there was probably after about 60 minutes we seen he was wrecked. But if you look at the first half and you look even the first couple of minutes, second half, Bruno's the only one playing forward passes. Obviously, Fred was as well. I think Fred was progressing the ball quickly, and Fred was doing well. But when Bruno was in the 10 in that first half, he was playing progressive passes, and that's how we were getting inside. So him and Ronaldo, they're interchanging runs. They were pulling the defenders out of position. So he done well, but you could see when he come off, he was knackered. But that's not me making the excuse. Bruno has no class. On multiple occasions, I think just if you looked at kind of, I'd say, the way Atletico Madrid are winning them second balls kind of in that second half, you probably looked at Paul Pogba for a more physical presence in there because Bruno was knackered, and maybe he's looking to bring on Pogba to maybe get that kind of win that second ball, try bring the ball down, play the ball quickly as well. Which if you look at in theory, bringing on Pogba is it's almost like bringing on the same type of creative player. Bruno and Pogba are two most creative players. In theory, if you're bringing Pogba on, it shouldn't be a downgrade on bringing on taking off Bruno, sorry. But it's just obviously, Atletico Madrid, as I said earlier, they're specialists in what they do in terms of as soon as, they lose the ball, they drop back into shape. There's either 9-10 players behind the ball. They're very resolute. And I think just, again, even on just touching on the Langa as well, he's... The reason why Ralph probably played him is his pacing behind is a threat, and probably at the start of the game, Ralph did highlight that he wanted intensity in the team. So I can understand from that standpoint why he played him, and also he scored in the previous fixture as well. So on merit, if you're talking about on merit as well, he did deserve it, because I know Reese mentioned Jesse Lingard. I'm a massive Lingard fan. I love Lingard, but he hasn't been playing well as of late. And when he has been brought on, he hasn't done much. I think if you look at Rashford, he hasn't played well as of late. Alanga probably merited a start, but obviously, hindsight's a beautiful thing. And it's just one of them where, the conference. I can't wait for away days in the Conference League next season. Just saying, but on a serious note, it's just disheartening. But I think if you look at it, it's just if you look at the way United, there's certain young players on the team, there's inexperienced players at the kind of highest level. That showed tonight. In that second half, it was men against boys for me. And it's just one of these things where, yes, okay, you have Ronaldo, you have Pogba, you have Bruno, you have Rashford, you have players like that who have scored and have played in big games, and they have made impact in big games. But when you have players like Herrera, Koke, players like that who have played in the biggest games, they know how to, I'm not going to use the word that I really want to use, but they know how to be streetwise on the pitch, and I think that's where we have a lack of that. We have lack of players who are streetwise and, can maybe be that kind of nuisance in midfield, and that showed tonight.
So you're right there, Keane, because there's no way the best will in the world that Fred. Oh, I thought Fred was probably our best player tonight. I thought he was.
Yeah,
I thought he
was.
was excellent. But when you've got the guile of Koke, and you've got the physical presence of DePaul and Herrera, you've got a massive problem. Now, we've always said that we know where our big issue is, and it is in the centre of the park. And you're looking at three players there who complement each other. Every single one of them offers something completely different to the starting 11, does something completely different during the game. When the ball comes to Koke, he'll put his foot on it, he'll look, and he'll move it. DePaul, he's very, very physical. And as for Herrera, he's just like the Energizer Bunny. Herrera was our version of Fred tonight, but he was way, way, way more effective in breaking up the play. And what you're talking about, Keane, is the Masters have been able to read a game of football between the three of them, communicate between the three of them, and adjust positionally between the three of them to quash any attacks that we had. On the 2 or 3 occasions where we did manage to get through, if it had gone past DePaul, if it had gone past Koke, Herrera was there. Bang. He was
and
there.
even Savage and that were stepping out as well, and they'd obviously the
Savage
two other
stepped very
second
well.
backs just accordingly as well.
Yeah, Savage stepped out very well. I thought that Llorente, now when you look a couple of years ago, when Llorente went to Anfield and rescued, I think it was Anfield, where he rescued the tie, he was playing in midfield straight off as a 10. He was a magnificent right back today. But what he did was he closed Sancho down. Every time the ball went into Sancho's feet, he was there, or he was very, very close to where Sancho was. So when you look at and I talk about travelling distance a lot, Sancho had no travelling distance. He had to either beat the player or he had to knock it off. Now, when you flip that across to Dalot and flip it across to Telles, the travelling distance that the wide players had, Griezmann as well, don't forget, during the second half, Griezmann was there covering if Llorente had moved 10 or 15 yards up the pitch. Griezmann was behind him at one point and stopping Sancho. So their interchanging and their intertwining of play was on a different planet to where we are. But, Ranić has only got players that he can work with, the only types of players. And I take your point about Bruno Keane. I think you're right. I think for the first half he was very, very good, but for the second half, for some reason, he tended to get that frustration level at boiling point.
He lost the head, didn't he?
Yeah, and he concentrates on other things rather than getting the ball out of his feet and utilising it. But he was our most progressive passer. I thought Matic did pretty well when he came on for progression. Yeah. I thought he progressed quite well. The biggest issue
too much down that left hand side, Stu.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's a targeted play from Atleti and Simeone. He's targeted Dalot. He knows Dalot can't defend. Okay, Dalot can move forward, and he's probably gambled on Alanga or Rashford or whoever it is up above
to bail him out,
not coming back. He's gambling on that wide play not to come back and help, and that's why you saw so much freedom for their fullbacks. We didn't push them. We didn't push their fullbacks back enough, and they're a very, very cute side as well. Look, I think we can all be really unhappy, really annoyed about the way we played, but there are occasions when you've got to concede. Sometimes there are better teams out there, and there are better players out there. And I think at the minute, Atleti are a better team and have better players than us. I don't know what you guys thought about João Felix. He's 21, 22 years old. I thought he led their line brilliantly.
I'm going to go on a limb and say he's the best young attacking talent in football.
He's amazing.
Which contrary to a couple of years ago, he came in for a huge fee, and there were huge doubts about him. But he's really come into his own, and he's been the best player for them. I think you're absolutely right. He led the line brilliantly.
118 million, I think he cost.
Yeah,
117 million, I think, altogether.
Yeah, euros. I think
it was a lot of money, but he did struggle because if you remember, Reece.
Yeah, he was so bad. Yeah.
He was a very scrawny player, though. He was an scrawny 18-year-old.
Yeah,
and it was a big move for him. But now look at him.
113 million. That's how much he could cost.
He's filled out a little bit, but his hold-up play is excellent. He can head the ball. He's got great skill. He's got a turn of pace on him. He's a very, very good player.
Do you know why that's the case, though? because he's got a
Well,
manager that builds
yeah.
a team around him and a manager that's got faith in him.
Yeah, because I was
That's
about
the
to
difference.
say, his hold-up play at times where we were pressing him, his hold-up play gives you, it gives you that out, doesn't it? It gives you that breath of fresh air that you so badly need. And unfortunately, Ronaldo, bless him, I thought he tried really, really hard today. Really hard.
He was not completely different. We all know he's a phenomenal player, but obviously there have been question marks over his tracking back and defensive ability.
But
But he
Savage
was working
today,
so hard
he
today.
was. But Savage today was like, I'll tell you
Yeah.
what.
Why didn't we get? I was sick, and we didn't get the Man City Savage today because we could have done with him playing like that today.
Oh, you wouldn't believe it's the same player, would you? Wouldn't believe it's the same player. But he was, every time Ronaldo was there, he was popping his chest into his back. He was dropping a slight little elbow. He was kicking his ankles. He was brushing
No fashion
past
centre
him.
back.
All the stuff I used to do when I was playing. Because
Still
that's
do.
what I still do. Yeah, actually, still do. Yeah, but no, but you do all of this because you just want to just put that seed of doubt into their minds. And what we've got to do next season, whatever we do, we must get somebody who's willing to put their foot in, because that's what
Warriors.
you need. What we need them, and we just don't have them. So,
And I think I was going to come to that earlier. Actually, I'm going to come to the comments in a minute. Get your comments in, guys. Lots of
loads
great
coming in.
comments coming in,
Yeah,
and I want to read some of
definitely.
them out. I think that's the difference between a good midfield and a world-class midfield, and I think we saw that tonight. Herrera, he was just everywhere, wasn't he? I'm
Amazing.
not saying Pogba isn't
Amazing.
world class. I'm not saying Bruno isn't. But I think that's the level we need to get to in order to shield the defense. The defenders feel that they can come out from the back because they've got that luxury. They know that someone is there to tidy up for them, and that's something that we don't have.
That Llorente, that Marcus Llorente, I've said it so many times, and Keane can back me up on this. He is the one player from Atletico, bar Felix, I would sign on the spot.
Yeah, I'd have him.
I absolutely
Jimenez.
adore Marcus Llorente. And Jimenez as well, actually. Yeah, Jimenez as well. But like Marcus Llorente in midfield. Christ.
Yeah. Just to come to a few of the comments, great to see Wayne in the comments here. Evening, gents. Very disappointing second half. That some of the subs are a bit bewildering. We will talk about that a little bit. Probably Rashford in particular. Obviously, I'm not going to go in on him at all. I just think he's short of confidence, and I was surprised to see him come on, if I'm honest. Not sure it did Rashford any favours asking him to change a game when he's so out of form. Exactly what I was alluding to there. Great point there. We should have yanked Marcus Rashford off after the first 10 minutes that he was on. He never ran once. Matter for Maguire should have been a statement. Ralph hasn't shown the balls for me consistently.
Yeah.
Some other good comments. The only way we break down teams when they are that compact is to utilise the wingers, wide players. Yeah, we didn't do that enough. And Stu, you made a very good point about Sancho. He's obviously been our key player in the last few matches. That right back had him in his pocket and he was closing him down. He wasn't allowing
Ellis
him
wasn't
to...
providing enough overlaps there either, though. That's
no, you're absolutely right.
Exactly.
Yeah, spot on. I was about to say, tell us, when Sancho does cut inside, and I'm not a fan of attacking fullbacks, as you guys know, defends, period. But he should have then overlapped him. You're absolutely right. He should have. And then he's got to have the pace to get back into position. But yeah. So when Sancho did try and cut in, and he only did it a few times, though, in all fairness, there was no overlap. And so there's nowhere for him to go. He had to go the way he was playing. And you should know in football, sometimes turn away, never play the way.
Yeah, he was isolated, weren't he, against like two fullbacks at like the same time? Like it was almost like he beat Llorente, and the next minute then he had Jimenez or Savage. Then Joe obviously was next man, and obviously because Tellez wasn't providing that overlap, or Bruno or someone coming in around, or Fred wasn't coming in around. Then he was isolated, and look, I felt sorry for Sancho tonight. Now, watching the game, I was kind of like, pass it. But to be fair, sometimes when there's not a bit of movement around you, sometimes you have to do it on your own. And unfortunately, in this case, it wasn't one of Sancho's better games. But look, I'm not going to get onto him because he's actually been a revelation in the last 2 or 3 weeks, really, to be fair.
He's one of only 3 I can't fault tonight. I can't fault De Gea. He was unfortunate we conceded. I can't fault Varane. I thought he was fantastic. Yeah. Sancho was unfairly cracked out the game by triangles, the left-sided midfielder, the left back. Yeah. I'm not even going to bother naming names, and And Fred, the 4 best players like on our field were those 4, but Fred was by far our best player. It highlights a lot that Box's comment for me is absolutely spot on. Atletico have got ethic, identity, and tactics.
Yeah.
We don't have either one of them. He's spot on. He's spot on, and that is the difference. If that had been a Man City, if that had been a team in red, another team in red that I can't be bothered naming because they make me sick. If that had been Bayern Munich that went up against Atletico Madrid tonight, it would have been 4-0. They would have battered Atletico. Because there's a difference. It's just they know how to play. They know they're stuck to their system. We're trying to play multiple different styles at once, and it's reflecting the fact that these players are just not versatile enough, and that's a big worry. That's something that has to change in the summer.
Yeah, agreed.
Just a couple of comments. I'm going to come to you, Keane, in a moment. Great to see David in the chat. Thanks for coming over, buddy. Savage was
right
superb.
there as well. Yeah,
almost
Dark
went through
arts.
the 8. He said a defensive dark arts night. Yeah,
That's why I said
right.
streetwise.
Yeah.
Atletico, not the same Atletico of 2013 to 18, but they still retain the teamwork, ethic, identity, passion. Obviously, you alluded to this earlier, Box. Great comments tonight, buddy. Keep them coming in. But this stands out to me a little bit. We've seemed to have gone a little bit topsy-turvy in the last couple of seasons, struggling to break teams down, seemingly be able to break teams down, but then can't defend. But it went back to this tonight, and I think Fred hits this point very well. They did have 10 men behind the ball for the vast majority of the game. That's exactly what we expected from Atletico, how they set up against any team and then catch them on the break. We ran out of ideas and were not created good enough in the final third. That's absolutely what happened tonight. Now, is that a worry for us going forward? We have struggled this season in particular with creativity. If Ronaldo's not firing, we haven't always seen too many goals. We haven't seen too much creation from the team. But is this still a problem for you? And when Bruno isn't on it, Keane, is that something that maybe we should look to invest in going forward as well?
Definitely. I think when Bruno's not on it, sometimes we don't have that player behind them then to kind of help break the lines. Obviously, to try beat that first phase of the press. I think we don't deal very well with that. I think if you look at, obviously, as well, when we come up against a team that sits 9-10 men behind the ball, if we don't score within the first kind of half an hour, 40 minutes, it's kind of a case where we don't drop the heads, but we just try the same thing, the repetitive thing, and it don't work. Like, that's why I think if Man United buy a defensive midfield player who's a ball playing defensive midfield player, it'll massively help Bruno to obviously get even into the box a bit more. Because one thing I've kind of noticed this season, I don't know, is it because Ronaldo's here, but Bruno's not making the late runs into the box that he was making last season. And we're not seeing that as much this season. So I don't know, is that a system thing that's why that's happening? I don't know, but I think there's definitely a need for a revamp in midfield to kind of help us as well. I think sometimes as well, like, our forwards aren't moving enough. They're very static, when they're on the ball. And I think, Steve highlighted earlier, sometimes the fullbacks don't help us either in that regard. Like, you can see times Rashford beats that first man, but then there's no one else to fight that overlap. He can't, play that pass early, and then he's kind of stuck there, and he's like, "Oh shit, what do I do?" Like, it's one of them things where, I think sometimes we don't have enough intelligent players on the football pitch. If I just be brutally honest about it, I think intelligence it needs to go a long way for us. And yes, you can have Bruno, who is like a good player. He's creative, but like Pogba, like, maybe this would have been a day to start Pogba. I think Pogba would have been someone who can, help Bruno in that regard. But again, when you look at the team in a nutshell, and you look kind of how the starting 11s, yeah, they will look. They get everything. But like, when you look at the starting 11s that we pick sometimes, and you look kind of how tactically, and this is not just under Ralph, this is under Ollie, and this is under Mourinho. Like, you never could see a pattern where you can say, right, this is how we're going to play. These are the areas that we're going to thrive in. You don't really see that. Yes, you're right. Right, look, we might whip a ball into Ronaldo. Ronaldo might score. Bruno might score a screamer. Sometimes, I think we just lack basic football intelligence. And yes, we have players who have high energy. Yes, we have players who can break up play. But after we break up that play, that we're kind of, we don't make that attack in the first 3 to 4 seconds. It's a bit more laboured. It's a bit more laboured. And I think, like, if you look at Man City, they win the ball back, right, within 3 to 4 to 5 seconds. They're up the pitch, they progress the ball. Liverpool, they skip their midfield. What they do is Trent gets the ball, pops into Bobby Firmino, and then bang into Salah. Like, that's how Liverpool play. Like, it's just one of these things where United's recruitment over these next couple of years is going to be very crucial to how we redevelop an identity. Because I think if you look at like all the managers post Sir Alex, the only manager I think we actually probably had a full-fledged identity under was Van Gaal. Yes, it was possession football. Yes, he probably didn't have the players to play that football. But Van Gaal was probably the clearest identity we had. We knew what type of style of football we were going to play, in a certain game. And I think maybe if we get Ten Hag or Pochettino in, and I suppose you give them a bit of patience over 2-3 years. You give them a lot of patience, and they can develop a style of play and let them get the right players in. Then maybe you can see an identity. You can see kind of.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I've said this before actually, and I think we made a bit of a knee jerk after Van Gaal. Now, when we had this, I'm not going to focus on this too much, but when we had Van Gaal as manager. Some of the games were mind-numbing to watch. They were incredibly boring, and it was really difficult to get on board. But he was not given enough time, and I think he was the first real manager that could have come in and really sort of instilled a bit of a philosophy. He had an idea, and if we'd stuck to that, we might have seen obviously better football going forward. You're absolutely right. I'm just going to come to this question here. Leonardo, great to have you with us, buddy, and thanks for tuning in. Stu, you were talking about Herrera in the middle of the park and how much he bossed that game. And Leonardo asked, do you like the player Herrera? Now, we know it's not something that's unbeknown to us. We know that United should be, at least, and thought about getting potentially a defensive midfielder. Could this be a name that we should be after? Because I thought he was excellent tonight. You said he's excellent tonight, and certainly one that would be great in the midfield.
Well, I think he's. You can never get carried away from one or two performances.
Of course,
you've got to look at the position that he plays, but you've also got to look at the two players that flank him in De Paul and Koke. And they come together as a combined three are absolutely outstanding because they complement each other really, really well. So it's all well just having a really good player. And Herrera, by the way, Leonardo, is a top player. I was really impressed with him. I liked his energy, his industry. He always seemed to be there, which is what a proper defensive midfielder should do. But it does help when you've got quality either side of you that enables you to, once you've got the ball, you could quickly look and you've got somebody to pop it off to. And their strengths are so different between the three of them. It just makes a very, very difficult unit to break down. But just going back to the other point that King was talking about and where we struggle breaking teams down, there's two options really. You can either have the intelligence to try and coax the team out towards you. Now, that's not as easy. It sounds easy, but it isn't. It's very, very difficult to kind of like, wave a magic wand or dangle a bit of candy on a rope and ask them to, come and chase it. If they're determined to stay in and you can't break them out wide, the best way around it is to almost pick the ball up like a rugby play and smash your way through them, because we've got players like Pogba who can get hold of the ball and he can just run with it and run and run and run. And two things will happen. He'll either lose the ball, in which case we'll have enough we should be in a position to kind of, eradicate the counter-attack anyway. Or B, you'll get a free kick. And what it does ultimately, it pushes you 10 or 15 yards up the pitch. Well, we don't do that. We just go from side to side to side to side to side. And then we'll try and play a hopeful ball through and see if Ronaldo or Sancho or Rashford will pick it up. And so, I've said this on many occasions before. Football is not rocket science. You've just got to use your noggin, and we don't use our noggin anywhere near enough. But Leonardo, we like him, pal. So you come over to YouTube as well. Come on, Facebook.
Yeah, very good point, actually, Stu. You are on Facebook, Leonardo, and obviously we'd like you to come over to YouTube and come to Talk to the Devil. Subscribe, like the video, and get your comments in here. Lots of people talking on YouTube, and you'd have a great discussion with them.
It's like the
Just
jumper
to-
says, it's all fun and games.
Absolutely. Just to come to a couple of comments, post-match interview, David De Gea was the person doing that, which we've already spoken about. Reese, he said we didn't do enough over the 2 games to win. They are a team with a lot of experience. As soon as they scored the goal, they put the whole team in front of Oblak. We've already mentioned this earlier. Someone made a great comment. 10 players behind the ball. Well, 11. Very defensive team. They know how to play these games. We are very, really, really sad. Obviously, we know what that means. Sorry. Paul Scholes said Atletico are not a better team than United, but they've got a better experienced coach in Simeone. If Simeone was coaching Man United, they win that game. What do you think on those 2 comments?
Yeah, I didn't listen to his interview, but I was listening to Scholes, Hargreaves, and I was listening to Ferdinand. I left on one of Hargreaves' quotes in the private chat for you as well. I look at De Gea's demeanour. I had him on mute, but I was looking at his demeanour, and he was a beaten man. And he's not wrong in terms of what he said about United over the 2 legs. The thing is, though, I think we can all agree, 11 men behind the ball, 5 men behind the ball, and 6 forward, it doesn't really matter. Like, that excuse in a Champions League game, like, if this had been in in a friendly game, but in a Champions League game, you cannot make that excuse for going out. We didn't penetrate Atletico. Like Stu mentioned, many times we went sideways passing. The minute that we went sideways, the Atletico midfield just stood still. They were like, well, if that's what they want to do, then fine. We're just not going to move. They're not going to touch us. They're not going
to. We played into their hands there a little bit, didn't we? We took our foot off. We played side to side.
Exactly.
And Atletico are very happy for us to play.
Exactly. Koke, before he came off, he's got fantastic vision. He's got great passing on him. Llorente is one of the quickest midfielders in the game. One of the quickest. As soon as he goes, it's like a rocket. Exactly. It says it all. And that's thanks to Luis Enrique. United get him in. Seriously, that says it all. Like, it's down to him. It's Simeone's worked so well with Llorente that even his international managers actually noticed it, and he's used him in the same position in key games. That is important.
Do you know what that is, Reece? Sorry to cut in.
No, by all means, on you go. By all means, on you go.
Mark knows this, and Keane probably does. But I've said on a few occasions on shows in the past that we've had 1 or 2 players that need to reinvent themselves. I use Tuanzebe as a great example. He's never going to get in at centre half, but he could quite easily adapt to become a really, really good right back. Now, when you look at the quality of what Llorente offers, he would never penetrate the current 3 in midfield. He just won't get in. Quality player, but he won't get in because he would break up the dynamism that DePaul, Herrera, and Koke have. So he's thought, he's looked at it and thought, well, what can I do? Where have I played before? How can I affect my position in the team? Now, whether or not he's gone to Simeone and said, let me have a go at right back, or Simeone's gone to Llorente and said, let's try it right back, he still had the balls to turn around and say, yeah, go on, then I'll give it a go. And look where, and through hard work and dedication, look what you've got.
And it says it all, really. It says it all, really, that the only reason he didn't start in midfield is because it's not because of the midfield, it's because Schalke was suspended. You would have probably seen him either on the bench or maybe in the midfield, but it depends on who you drop.
Well, yeah,
maybe DePaul. You can't drop Koke. He's vision-wise and intelligence. He's up there. Like, he is, funnily enough, what we want from a player like Juan Mata. He is Juan Mata from 10 years ago. He's got that in his locker. The difference is, though, he's more physical. The problem with United is... The difference with United is that it doesn't matter if you've got technical ability or if you're a warrior or even if you're just an absolute, quote-unquote, certain house. Just not using my typical language. There's a certain style of player that fits a certain manager, and whether you think Simeone's a cheat, which is funny, whether you think Simeone is just a defensive manager, or whether you just think he just doesn't care and he just wants to bully people off the pitch because that's what he does as a player. The difference is he's got a style of play he believes in, and his team crucially believe in him. And it's no coincidence he's been a manager there for over 10 years.
10 years,
He's-
yeah.
And he's won everything, bar the Champions League. He's won everything. That says it all really about how good he is as a manager. If he wasn't that good, he would have been sacked years ago. That's what United need belief in.
He's rebuilt that team 4 times as well over that period.
Yep, exactly.
And
he
talking about complete rebuilds.
And he gets the best of experienced players.
Yeah.
He uses an experienced player properly. As much as I hate him, look at Luis Suarez. He pinched him from Barcelona, and look what he did with him. Won the league easily. Yeah. He made Kieran Trippier a defender. That says all. He made Kieran Trippier a defender.
I know.
Yeah.
Savage. You Keane mentioned Savage, you know.
Yeah. Spot on mention by Keane again. Spot on.
Perfect example.
That's a manager that believes in his team and they believe in him. And in their system and their style of play, they believe in it. You cannot beat a system like that if they believe in it that much. Yeah, you can knock them out of a tournament or you can win a trophy, but over a prolonged period of time, that's a dynasty. That right there is a dynasty.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can question Simeone. He's done some wonderful things over the year and really has got an identity. And you know what? I think whilst it wouldn't be my choice, I would have him at United. But whilst I don't think he will be the next manager coming in, I would love to see what he would do with some of these players because I think he would give him a huge shock value. Just to go on to some comments after the game again, and a little to Stu's dismay, a few stats here as well, but we'll talk about those. David De Gea said, I don't want to say anything about the referee. I think everyone who watched can say anything of what happened. You cannot change it. And he's got a good point. I know in a lot of chats that we've been in, a lot of people going in about referee. I think some of the decisions he's made are appalling tonight, but it doesn't take away our performance. And we didn't take enough of our chances. We didn't come out in the second half. So I think he's absolutely spot on there. Cristiano Ronaldo had as many shots against Atletico Madrid as Man United will win trophies this season. Christ almighty, that's what Squawker said. Another one here, Man United have been eliminated from 6 of their last 8 UEFA Champions League knockout stage ties, having won 13 of their 16 previous. That's damning, isn't it, King? What do you make of that?
Yeah, even we've seen another stat there, so we haven't won a Champions League knockout match since 2014 on David Moyes. Look, it's just a kind of a stark, it's a stark reality kind of where we are. At Old Trafford, obviously we won in Paris. But look, it's just kind of a stark reality where we are. I think this season I think has been a reality check. Because I think we had on paper we had a decent summer, but there's obviously still key areas that weren't addressed. And I think bringing in Ronaldo, I think maybe glossed over the fact, that there was some key areas that we didn't address. And look, unfortunately, at the minute, it's just a shame. It's just massive rebuilding needs to be done. And look, it's going to take a while. I think there's no quick fix here. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, "Oh, we're just a good manager away." I don't think we're a good manager away. I think we're a good manager, a good sporting director. I think we're a good manager, a good sporting director. Joe, I think we're a good. I think we're if you're talking about starting 11, we're a good 8 players away probably from being a challenging team for trophies. Now, I'm not talking about the league. I'm talking about trophies. I'm talking about domestic. I'm even talking about Europa League even because if you look at some of the teams in Europa League in the last couple of years, Villarreal and Sevilla done it in them games as well. So really and truly, United have a lot of rebuilding to do upstairs. They have a lot of rebuilding to do and first team level. But the one thing I'd say is there's a couple of players in that academy at the minute in part of the rebuild process. Joe, that can definitely help us. I think you like Hannibal's, Garnacho's, they're definitely good players. You're talking about attacking the talent that we can definitely utilise. But if we need to utilise these players, we need to make sure the spine of the team is right because any successful team has a great spine. And I think it's just we do need that good. We need to rebuild that spine. from the goalkeeping department to the centre backs to the midfield, to, like strikers, we do need an overhaul because like Cavani and Ronaldo can't go forever. So like, look, there's a massive rebuild that needs to be done, and it's just a case where I think the fan base at the moment, you go on social media, you see so much in terms of this manager out cult elitism that's out there. One thing I'll just say is whoever the next manager is, just bear in mind they're a good 3-4 year rebuild away from being a serious team. So I think everyone has to have that bit of patience. Back the next manager, whether it's Rangnick, whether it's Ten Hag, Pochettino, whoever it may be, Luis Enrique, whoever this new manager may be. But we're not a couple of players and just a new manager away. We're not, and that's just the reality.
We also have another unfortunate contender as well to deal with. We've also got Newcastle.
Yeah.
Mm.
I absolutely agree with you, Keane. I think a lot of the time recently. Sorry about that. A lot of the time recently, we seem to have these knee jerk. It's my diabetes thing telling me that I'm low on sugar, but it's all right. I'll be fine. So a lot of the time we make these knee jerk reactions, and I think it's more than that. Actually, I think that we've got a footballing man like Ralph that's come in.
We just need more.
I really like him. I think that with the tools he's got, with the attitude that we have, and with everything else, I think he's actually doing a good job. The fact that he hasn't brought in the players that he might want to, I think he's doing a good job. And I think that you need more people like him. And when he moves up a level to the senior consultant role, whatever it's going to be called, I think that that's a good step, but I think we need more people like him, and I think it's more than the manager.
Quote unquote, that's exactly what Hargreaves said. That's exactly what Owen Hargreaves said tonight. They need football people. Ralph is one, but they do need more.
Yeah, agree. Totally agree with that.
Absolutely agree with that.
United sacked the man that coincidentally said, we've already spoken about him tonight, Louis van Gaal. Van Gaal said it nearly 6 years ago. Like quote unquote, United are just run like a business model with people with bankers who don't know what they're doing. But you look at a club like Bayern Munich, who are run by football people that understand the game. It takes us 6 years after Van Gaal's sacking to bring in a man that actually understands football. Like, that's the scary thing.
Yeah.
Just to make another point, actually, Rio Ferdinand made a bit on the players. He said if you bring in Mbappe and Haaland this summer, Man United still aren't winning the league. It doesn't matter who they bring in. The revamp needs to be done from the top down. That's quite big from Rio saying that, actually. But that kind of makes the point.
Who wants Mbappe and Haaland anyway? We don't need Mbappe and Haaland. This is the problem with football today. Chelsea aren't shopping in that price bracket anymore. Whoever comes over is going to have to be, takes over is going to have to be very, very frugal. The whole actual concept of football could change. The whole structure of football could change overnight. It really just depends exactly how much Chelsea gets sold for, and as much as what football can and can't do. And the way that owners are going to be able to run football clubs will change dramatically over the next 2 years. So, do we really need a Haaland and an Mbappe? The fair weather fans will think that will think we do. Actually, somebody made a great point. There's not enough John O'Shea's and Wes Browns in our squad. He's absolutely bang on in his assessment. He is so right about his assessment, because you need a group of warriors and winners, and then you sprinkle the stardust. Once you've got a group of warriors and winners, we're so far off a group of warriors and winners. There's no point we're getting an Mbappe. There's no point getting a Haaland. You've got to start looking about. Nobody heard of Frank Kessie 2 years ago. You probably had, but no, I'm talking in the wider genre of football. Nobody probably heard of him.
Exactly, and it's annoyed me he's went to Barcelona for nothing.
He's gone to Barcelona.
Annoys me deeply.
There's something like $1.5 billion worth of player on the open market in June today. Yeah, there's loads of them. And I don't think they're going to be able to go and get what they want anymore. They're not going to be able to go and get these £800,000 contracts, because clubs have got to look at it. So you could see in the next 2 years a level playing field again. And I think we've just got to make sure that these next 2 years, our recruitment is absolutely bob on. We spend the right money at the right times on the right players that will really bring us forward. We want players not only, to score goals or defend. We want players who are able to coach on the pitch and bring good players or young players through 90 minutes of games. Look at Max Kilman at Wolves. Connor Cody has been coaching him for almost 18 months. He's been alongside him, and now he's probably Kilman. He's likely to go to Dubai at the end of the year, and it's done by a homegrown player and a wily old stalwart telling him and coaching him through games. We haven't got any of that. And
He's a decent young player. I'll give him credit. He's a
player.
decent young player. Yeah,
A very good player. I like Kilman.
I think the one thing this Man United team lacks, and it's not something you would normally say about any footballer, let alone a human being, this Man United team lacks heart. It lacks heart and it lacks soul.
Completely.
And that's not something I've ever said about a Man United team in my life. I've never said that about a Man United team until now. They've got no heart, they've got no soul.
You would have in the 70s, trust me.
Well,
we weren't great.
We weren't great, but the difference is, though, even when we weren't great, I've watched season reviews back, even when we weren't great, we were still fighting.
We were, and that is true. Yeah, we were.
I think that's something that you can't educate into a footballer these days, because I've said it with Keane before, like how quick players are these days to make money. Like, what Phil Foden's, 19, 20, 21? Like, he's at least 4 years younger than me, the cheeky sod, and he's already worth at least 20 times more than me. Like, he's already a millionaire before he even got into the Man City first team.
Yeah.
Look at other players in our squad. They're already millionaires before they even get out the academy. That's wrong. What have you done to deserve 200 grand a week? I know people say, oh, players should get like money, they should get X, Y, Z. No, you earn money like that. You don't get given 100, 200 grand a week because you just signed for Man United.
Yeah,
if you've earned it in the game, then fine. Like Ronaldo, he's worked hard in the game. He deserves what he earns. Bruno Fernandes done really well for Sporting Lisbon. He deserves what he earns. But there's certain players who get automatically promoted from the academy and they go up into great wages and they think they've made it. Dude, you've not made it. You've barely even touched a level. And that's a real problem with the game. And that's another thing with our team. Is it the money they're playing for? Which I hope it's not. Or are they actually playing for what matters most, and that's the football club and the people that go to watch them every week, home and away?
Well, Marcus Rashford's a really good maybe example of what you're saying.
At the moment right now, yeah.
You've got to a certain level. You check your bank account in the morning, you've got 10 million quid in there. Mm-hmm. You tell me what you've got to worry about in life.
Exactly. Whereas we scratch and claw. Because we really do need it.
Yeah, we do. We wake up every day, look at our bank account, just make sure nothing else untoward's gone out. So everybody does it because we just live the real life. Yeah. And when you're earning, when you can go out one day and spend 250 grand on a car, and then go to training for 2 hours, and you can't be asked. Yeah, and you can't be asked to train for another 3 hours on your own, or sit in the video analytics department and talk to an analyzer. When I was playing footy, and I would always try and do my best to try and find out the team that I was playing, as much info I could from friends and players about the centre forward. Yeah. I was marking. Did he take it on his left foot? Did he take it on his right foot? Is he good in the air? Can he chest? Does he stick his arse out? To try and hold the ball. Does he elbow you? All the stuff I need to know so that when it comes to it, I'm ready for him. So if he's taking the ball on his left foot, I'm there straight away. Yeah. But we're not doing that. I don't get any sense from any of our players. We're looking at the basics. I just don't.
That's what I always allude to. Like everyone on this panel knows I pretty much simp for David Beckham. It's no lie. Yeah. It's no lie. I'll handfully hold that. He's my background, for God's sake. He's my lock screen. Like, he's not the most supremely talented footballer in world football. Never was. Work ethic, hunger, committed to his game, had people around him who actually told him how to improve as a player. 4 key attributes.
Exactly.
Name one key attribute anyone in our team has. No, yeah, neither can I.
Just just to move on very quickly now, we're going to be coming to the end of the show very
sorry, Mark.
shortly. No, that's absolutely fine. Great conversations going on. There's a number of you on Twitter. We can't see your comments, and we'd love to be able to talk about them, read them out, certainly for next time. So next time, or at least now, if you want to come over, youtube.com/Talker for the Devils, would be great to have you over here. Great conversations going on in the chat tonight. Really, really good points. I'm looking at Box, George, and a number of you. Really, really good stuff. I'd love to see you back next time. Want more of you to come over, so share this with your friends. I just want to talk about, before we do a bit of a rating on some of the players tonight, I'm just going to do the 11 that started, not the subs. But is there any comments from either one of you about the referee decision on the penalty tonight? Do you think that should have been a penalty?
He gives me 2013 vibes.
Yeah, I didn't though, to be honest, and I'm probably in the minority here. Although we actually came, I've got to choose my words carefully here, Keane. Although he came in, he came between his legs. He actually took the ball, but it actually goes back to the tackle from behind, doesn't it? I know what you're going to say, Reese. It goes from the tackle from behind.
It's through his legs, though.
That's the thing. It was through the legs, through the legs, but the angle. Is so difficult for any person to manage.
That's agreed, and that's why I thought it wouldn't be given, and I can see why it wasn't given. If it was a scissor all day long, and I know he slightly, as he was going through the middle of the tunnel, we'll say. I know he caught his knee, didn't he? I'm pretty sure he caught his knee, but ultimately the strike on the ball. It was either a wonderful challenge in the scheme of football, which I would, crikey, I'd love a tackle like that. Absolutely love it. Or as most people said, the ref got it wrong and it should have been a penalty. And that was my reasoning for not giving it. It was one, and I think you're right, Reese. One of those.
It's so minute. I thought it was a penalty. I'm not going to deny. I thought it was a penalty. Way it was, way from the angle at first, you think, you're like, for goodness sake. I know exactly what I want to say, but obviously I got some respect. That should have been a penalty when I first seen it. But when they showed the angle the second time, like when they had it right round, I was like, nah, he's actually somehow, I don't know how he's managed it. Superb there, because he thought he was gone as well. He thought he was getting sent off. Like his face told the story.
Yeah.
That minute, and he got the ball, and I was like, I think he also hit Fernandez's knee as well, the ball as well, I think. But it's so minute. But other than that, the referee tonight, I agree with George. Like some of the decisions and all that, he could have got wrong. He should not have got wrong. He did get wrong, and there were some very dubious decisions tonight that went against us.
There was.
Normally I have the energy to talk about referees, particularly certain referees from the Premier League, because I can't stand them because they can't do their job properly. But this guy, I just don't have the energy. I just don't have the energy to talk about a referee that was so bad. Even my gran could referee better than him. And she can barely walk.
Lots of people agreeing with you, actually. Someone said, I genuinely think a member of the crowd could have done a better job as the ref tonight. I think it would have been a little bit biased, but I don't disagree with that.
Can I just say, he didn't cost us anything, though. I mean, he wasn't good.
He was dubious, but I agree. We didn't take our chances.
Yeah, he didn't cost us the game, and I think we need to be clear about that. But he wasn't great.
Just to make a point, and Wayne's written in the comments actually that he's going to be doing his write-up and ratings of the players tomorrow on the website. So please just go and check that out. But I don't want you guys to look at the ratings that he's given. Okay, so David De Gea tonight, Keane, what would you give him out of 10?
I give him a 6. Probably didn't have much to do. Look, he had made a great save in the first half, but didn't have much to do during the game. Atletico didn't really pepper him today, so give him a 6 just based off the save he made, and can't blame De Gea today.
Stu?
Yeah, I'm a 6 as well. I think King's said it. I mean, he had no chance with the goal. He came out of his 6-yard box, so that's always a winner for me. But you can't give him any more than a 6, I don't think. So 6, I agree with that. Yeah, it's a good score.
Yeah, I agree. He's the annoyable thing about it is distribution. But I'm going to say this on a limb. he was put right at the very beginning. I'm going to reiterate exactly what I said at the beginning of the show. Like in terms of distribution, you cannot blame a keeper's distribution for being poor when you've got a centre back who puts you under so much pressure. You generally want to crap your pants.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you know what? I would have given him a 7 today. I think he did everything that was asked for him. But there was one particular moment, and again, it kind of, as you were saying, Reece, down to Maguire, but he took a little bit too much time, and then it deflected off of one of their front line.
Yeah.
I can't remember who that was, and that just, it always puts me under a bit of a stressful time. Let's just say. Right,
Yeah.
Dallo today. Keane, what would you give him?
Give him a 5. Again, like, look, it's just one of these days where his final ball wasn't on point, like it sometimes is. They obviously caught out of position a couple of times, and look, I think our fullbacks, just in general, positionally in transition, weren't great. So I'll give him a 5, but again, I'm just deflated, man.
He gets a 4 for me. I mean, and I'm being generous. I can't take to the guy, really. You know, a fullback, first and foremost, is there to defend. You throw your winger, Rosed, as soon as you can. You stop crosses. And our fullbacks over the past few weeks have allowed crosses to come in. They've been way the travelling distance between their winger and the fullback, it's 7 or 8 yards at any given time. It's just too much. You know, you can't have that. The penalty against Tottenham was because Tellers was too far off of Kowalewski. You know, you just can't have this. So he's a 4 from me. He's desperate tonight, desperately bad.
Yeah, Reece.
Keane went 5, Stu went 4. Me, I'm going lower, 3. Honestly, he wasn't the worst of the defence, but he was definitely not good enough. I honestly agree. I've commented about Wan-Bissaka's positional sense before, how bad he is, but he's got recovery pace to at least deal with a situation if he gets beaten. Dallo, I don't think he actively tries to get back. I think once he gets beaten, he's either hoping his defender does something or he gives up.
And he's got he's got no communication skills, has he?
Yeah,
he should be
all.
screaming. You absolutely scream. And if you scream, by the way, as a fullback, and your right winger or wide player doesn't come back, you go and grab him and you drag him back. That's what you do. You know, and he hasn't got that, as he say.
Even from Antonio Valencia couldn't speak a word of English, but he would beat some English into you.
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
He would. I listen. I think 3 is a little bit harsh, Reece. I'll be honest. However,
it might be, but in a game like this. Harsh is reality.
No, I absolutely listen. It's we didn't go through, and I understand totally your points. He wasn't good enough today, and I think both fullbacks weren't good enough today. They were okay going forward. They didn't bring enough going forward. They didn't overlap enough going forward. And defensively, they weren't good enough today. So I don't disagree. Personally, I would give him a 4 for me. Maguire, Keane.
Harry Maguire 4. Again, like, look, to be fair, there was times in the game he did step out well with the ball and he did play a decent pass into the channel. But again, some of his decision making in terms of labouring, will I go forward, will I go backwards, and them kind of movements were putting David De Gea and giving the crowd anxiety. So, like, I think he gets a 4, especially for the goal as well. He stepped out, but then his recovery pace, but he didn't get back on time. Dallo had to obviously slot into his position, but then Alanga didn't track back, so it was a mess. But it all stemmed from him stepping out first of all, and obviously Alanga not tracking back. So I give Maguire a 4. But like, look, I don't know what it is with Maguire, because last season, especially in the last 6 months of last season, he was brilliant, and then in the Euros he was top notch for England as well. Even as an Irishman, that kills me to say it, but like for England, he was absolutely class in the Euros. Like him and Luke Shaw on that like left side for England were deadly. So I don't know what it is. Is it maybe he just reevaluates this summer, and maybe tries to get back to what he was last season? But just at the moment, he's just, I don't know, he's not playing himself back into form. So I don't, is it maybe a case where we give him a few games off and maybe get Lindelof in there beside Varane and try something different though at the back?
Yeah.
I'm
Stu?
struggling with Maguire on this one because I see Maguire differently as an ex centre half, so I kind of know the troubles he's having, and the fullbacks aren't helping him at all by being out of position woefully and not stopping crosses coming in. Controversially, I don't. I'm sorry to say this, guys. I'm not saying I don't think Varane helps him either. I really don't. And with that spineless goalkeeper that we have, it's just not ticking for him at the minute. He's got two new fullbacks in Dalot and Tellez. He's got a different centre-half partner, and De Gea is even worse at coming out for the ball. When Henderson was between the posts, you saw a completely different Maguire. Now, tonight, he wins his fair share of headers in both boxes. He did drag the ball out well. Now, I've seen people criticise him and almost blame him for the goal because of his poor defensive header and then his sliding tackle where he cleared the ball. He obviously didn't clear it far enough. You know what I mean? Because it came back, and that and he was almost blamed for the goal. So I don't think he was great tonight. So I'm going to give him a 5.
Yeah. Reese?
Absolutely, George.
Reese?
2. Move on.
2.
Honestly.
Okay.
2.
Right. I'm going to do 2 players at a time now. Keane, Varane, and Tellez, please.
I give Varane a 5, Tellez a 4.
Same. I'll do exactly the same. I was going to give Varane a 5 and Tellez a 4 as well. So I
Great
agree.
minds think alike still.
No, I agree.
Short and sweet, great
I
minds
know
think
Reece
alike,
thought
absolutely.
Varane was good tonight. I didn't think he pulled up any trees. Again, centre backs union. Look at Reece.
Yeah, I love that. Go on, Reese. You're ready.
5, 2.5.
Oh, nice. 2.5.
We're not
I'm
doing
not joking.
decimals in this,
I'm not
but,
joking. Tellez was
yeah.
absolutely diabolical.
Listen, I just want to make a point about the defence before we're going to move on to the midfield, and we need to be quick about this. Stu and I have had this conversation many, many times. There has been no consistency in the back four this season, and I think that has been a problem, not the biggest problem, but a big contributing factor to the fact that we haven't had any stability and we've let in a number of goals. He's absolutely right with that. We've had this conversation about Henderson before. We absolutely love David De Gea. He's been a wonderful servant to the club. He absolutely deserves to be number 1 at the moment, 100%. But Henderson gave that stability, that leadership, that commanding aerial prowess that David De Gea sometimes lacks. And I feel that Henderson, and I am surprised that Henderson hasn't played more. Perhaps that because he wanted to go in January. That maybe is the reason why. But I think if you had Henderson and a consistent back four there, you'd see an improvement massively. But it's just not. Yeah, and it's just not been that. And I think that's been one of the biggest problems. Right, midfield, Fred and McTominay, King.
I gave Fred an 8. I give McTominay a 6 for the first half anyway.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I was going to go 8 and 6 as well, so I might just go 8 and 5.5 or 5 and 3/4.
Go on, Reese.
Fred, man of the match for me, so he's a definite 8. So McTominay was a 6 all day long. So
yeah, Reese, you're going to upset the apple cart, aren't you? Go on.
Yeah, look at his face. He is
9 and 6.
Well, that's
9
all right,
and
yeah.
6. Yeah, I thought Fred. I mean, he had a couple of games out injured, didn't he? Went away for Brazil. Since Ralph's come in, Fred has been an absolute revelation, and he continues to prove that, I think. And you know what? I said this months ago. Stu, you'll remember. Keane, you'll remember. And Reece, you'll remember. Fred is going to be one of our best players under Rangnick. He presses so much more than any other player, followed by Pogba, and that is still showing. He's been exceptional. Really, the tenacity of the boy is amazing. He's closing down. He's breaking up the plays. He's been
He was the first
excellent.
one I named.
And
you
I
did.
think you did, Reece. You're absolutely right, and he's been phenomenal, and I hope that continues. I really do, and I would agree with those. Keane, Sancho, Bruno, and Alanga, please.
Alanga, I'd go 5. Sancho, I'd go 6. And Bruno, give him a 6 as well.
Okay, Stu.
Yeah, so Alanga 5, Bruno's a 6 for me. I'll go Sancho 7, only by virtue of that when he did try and utilise the ball, he was as good as he could be. He was as good as he was allowed to be tonight, because Llorente probably would have got an 8.5 for me. So
Good point by him. Made me chuckle a little bit. Fred thought he was Berbatov for a
tremendous,
moment. Yeah, it was a
tremendous skill.
sensational bit. Honestly, I woke the missus up. She wasn't happy, and I said, and I was like, Christ, it was brilliant, absolutely
You
brilliant.
woke your missus up.
I did, yeah. I shouted when he did that, when he had that moment of brilliance. I just couldn't
You're,
believe what I was seeing.
mate,
Brilliant.
you're finished. You are. You're
I
done
am.
for
I will be
tonight. You
finished.
are.
You're absolutely right.
Exactly right.
Reese.
You're getting killed. Alanga 5, universally agreed. Sancho 6.5. Bruno 5.5.
Lots of 0.5s by you. You like to be difficult, don't you?
I
I'm
can't give
going
a whole
to
numbers.
make a rule next week. There has to be a proper number, no 0.5s.
Yeah,
I
next
can't
week
give a whole
it's
number
going
for
to change.
madness.
We're not playing until Leicester on the 2nd of April, so we got a bit of a break
we've got
now.
to. Yeah, well, we got. There's no FA.
Alfred.
We're supposed to play Liverpool, weren't we, this weekend? Then
Yeah,
it's
that's right, got
international
postponed.
break, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, postponed. So
Yeah, so
Ireland
you
playing Belgium, lads. I can't wait. I can't wait.
you won't see us again for a match reaction until the 2nd, but it gives you a bit of breathing space, a bit of time to collect, calm, and everything, and we'll be back. But I'm going to go 6 across the board for these three. I thought Bruno was very good in the first half, little bit lackluster in the second half. I thought Sancho, you're absolutely right, Stu. I think he did everything that he could. He was just defended brilliantly against tonight, and it stopped him from doing what he's doing. But Elanga, I think he was very unfortunate with that opportunity. How Oblak saved that was unbelievable, quite honestly. And I know his tracking back was a little bit less to be desired, but I thought on the whole he was okay tonight. And I don't think he was any worse than Bruno or Sancho personally. Keane, Ronaldo for you.
5.
A 5, okay, Stu.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 6 purely based on his work rate and determination tonight. It was good from him, but he was just. I mean, Savic was just savage.
Reese. He was savage, yeah. Reese.
Can't think of one.
So you've given me all these different numbers and points and decimals and all sorts. And now
And you can't
give
think
me
of
one
Ronaldo.
number.
Come on, Reese.
Yeah,
I know you're
5.
5.
I know you're upset about the game, but come on, come on.
5. It's not his fault. It's not his
No,
fault.
I don't think it was Ronaldo's. You're right. Yeah.
You know what? I think with the criticism he's had this season for not potentially tracking back, not really working hard enough, not pressing from the front, I thought he was very good, particularly in the first half. And I can't give him any less than a 6, if I'm brutally honest. 5, 6, 7s tonight. We're not through.
Yeah.
We played a great first half. And unfortunate, and on another day, that chance had gone in. It might have been a completely different game. It's just unfortunate tonight.
Yeah.
Listen, I just want to say, obviously, my debut tonight.
6.
Thoroughly enjoyed
Let's
myself. Thank you, boys, for
Me
coming
too.
on. It's been great. Thanks to everybody in the comments. George with the final comment here. Ronaldo a 7 for me. We will talk about this next time, George, but come back next time and we'll talk about that. Great work ethic, great touches, terrible lack of service, and I don't think it's wrong, actually. I think the reason why he probably didn't get enough was the service that he was providing from the wing, as we've already spoken about. Defended very well, we just couldn't get there, could we? So, very, very good point. Great stream, everyone. Thank you. Listen, thanks for everybody tonight. Great comments, really good conversation. Thanks, boys, for coming on. Really enjoyed having all three of you on, so thanks very much. We will be back again for another match reaction against Leicester, as I said, on the 2nd. It's at 5:30 the kickoff, so we'll probably be here at around 7:30 on that day. But listen, I really appreciate everybody's time. Thank you very much, and we'll see you very soon.